How's it going? So today on BKRsport, we are here for a weekly tipping videos that have returned. We're going to be putting these out every single Tuesday, and I'm excited for this week because obviously the buys are all done now. We've got full 8 games each round, and I'm very excited for this because this is the run home, baby. This is the run home. This is the start of the end of the season. Considering how tight it is around that 8 right now, there are a lot of teams that are really fighting for it, and honestly, there's no easy games right now. Like even the Bulldogs, obviously, they need to win to avoid the spoon. So do the Broncos. I guess so do the Tigers. The Tigers are still technically in the chances for the top 8. I know it's wild. It's wild. They're like 4 points out of it or 6 points out of it. I don't know, but it's ridiculous. It's crazy. But the point matter is that no matter where you are now, it's going to be difficult because the bottom of the table, they need to win their games. The middle of the table is just ridiculous, obviously, trying to get into that 8. And then the top of the table are the top of the table for a reason. They may not need to necessarily win their games, but it's top of the table for a reason, so, you know, it's a difficult time. But let's get into the video and let's start talking about round 19 of the NRL season. First up, guys, 6 PM. Don't forget, we will obviously be streaming the entire week because I'm stuck in lockdown, so I'll be streaming every single rugby league game. But guys, Friday night, 6 PM, my boys, the Gold Coast Titans. Gold Coast Titans take on Parramatta Eels, and this one's a little bit more interesting to read because obviously the Origin players will be out because it's so close to Origin. Origin is on Wednesday, and then on Friday is this game, the early game too, so not much rest. I think that they're obviously eligible, but I don't believe they'll be playing. So the team list come out after I filmed this video, so do keep that in mind. This game's going to be quite interesting. I know obviously everyone immediately wants to take Parramatta, and fair enough to be honest with you, but I'm automatically assuming that Moses isn't going to be playing and Paulo, so there's a couple of big players out there. But look, the Titans are desperate to make the 8 right now. Obviously, they have struggled a significant part of this season, and then against the Raiders, they came out and they seemed to fix their defense. It was 44-6 the final score, and that's the biggest scoreline that the Titans have ever scored before. They haven't ever gone over 44 points before, and I think they've done it 3 times this year. So it's pretty crazy for the Titans considering that they are in 10th spot. But if they did get a win here, they are potentially able to jump into the 8, provided the Sharkies lose and the Knights lose and stuff like that. But you've got to stop thinking about other teams. You've got to start thinking about your own team and getting this win first, because this is not going to be an easy win here against the Parramatta Eels, who are dying to lock up their spot in the top 4. I actually think that if the Eels win this game, I think they've pretty much locked the spot up in the top 4 because there's not many games to go now. They'd be 3 wins above the Roosters, who are in 5th, and I think this would pretty much solidify the Eels in that top 4 spot. So it is a big game for them. Look, obviously, guys, I'm going to tell you, I think the Titans are going to win this. I'm going to back my boys in here. I'm not going to tip against my team. I do genuinely give us a chance in this because if they come into this game like they were against the Raiders, the whole point of this season for the Titans was their attack is unbelievable, but their defense is just shocking. Their attack was unbelievable, and then their defense was actually pretty good against the Raiders, only giving up those 6 points there, who then went on to beat Manly the following week. However, that was with no Trbojevic, no Cherry Evans, no Schuster, a couple of issues there, but there was also no Whiten, and, you know, there's no Papali'i. Titans had a good game there. So it really is about if they can do the exact same thing in regards to how they played, not necessarily saying the same result is going to happen. But then again, in today's game, we don't know. The Eels could win this blowout. Titans could win a blowout. It's literally all over the shop. I guess the safe option is absolutely to go for the Parramatta Eels here. I'm going to take the Titans 1-12. I think it's going to be a very close game regardless. Obviously, the Titans actually have, I think their best winning record is against the Eels. Or it's the Tigers. The Tigers first and then the Eels second. So Titans usually have a pretty good record against the Eels. However, the Eels in the last couple of years have definitely dominated that matchup. So should be a good game there. Hopefully it's a good game to start us off for the weekend and get around the Titans. Big Friday night game, and Manly Seagulls versus the St. George Illawarra Dragons. I think the other game will be closer. I actually think that Manly will win this one quite easily. Now, I do know there'll be no Trbojevic. I do know there'll be no Cherry Evans. Well, this is assuming, obviously, they're not playing back enough from Origin. I think that Manly is still the better team here, especially considering the Dragons have a lot of players out. You know, they've had to get exemptions from the NRL because of their little party here in Sydney that they haven't been able to necessarily field a full team. So they've had to get exemptions, right? And this is going to be this week and it's going to be next week. Obviously, the Dragons are playing for that top 8 spot. This is a big time for them. They really need to fire home right now because there are the Sharks chirping. There's the Knights chirping. There's the Titans chirping. You know, there's all these teams chirping just outside the 8 trying to chase the Dragons down in 7th spot. So this is a huge game for them. However, I don't think Manly are going to lose 2 games in a row here. I really think that they've still got a good enough team. And I said this at the beginning of the season too. Look, I think that Trbojevic has a massive impact on this team. I think that his mental effect is just second to none. He is honestly the best player in the NRL right now. Been saying it for years. I've actually personally preferred him to Tedesco, and I've been saying this for years now. I think Trbojevic is unbelievable, and his mental effect is just absolutely surreal, right? but I still think that their team is pretty good without him. It just doesn't seem like they connect when he's not there. But they weren't terrible against the Raiders. The Raiders obviously are fighting for their top 8 spot as well, and to trying to keep themselves in the game. So I guess you can make an excuse there. The no Cherry Evans, lack of direction is a key part too. A lot of Manly fans are trying to tell me that it was actually really Cherry Evans, and fair enough to him. It probably was a massive impact too, where Cherry Evans was at the beginning of the season when they were struggling, but in the same sense, yeah, no direction from the halves there. Yeah, look, I'm going to take Manly here. I think that Manly will win. I think it might be about 12 points. It could even be 14 points, to be honest with you. It's around that area. If the Dragons win, congratulations to them, but I think they've got a lot of issues right now. Obviously, they are travelling up now, just like Manly are, but they are travelling up, so there's travel, there's the Paul Vaughan stuff, there's all these other player stuff, there's Lomax and not signing things to say that there wasn't other people there, and there's a lot of dramas going on with the Dragons right now. They're a bit of a mess. So I'm going to back in Manly here, and they honestly could win quite large, but I'll go in and I'll give the Dragons some credit because for this whole season, I thought they'd come last pre-season. They're obviously not coming last. They're in 7th right now. They haven't looked great, but they're still winning games, even though they're not that good. It's crazy. They're still winning the damn well games. So congratulations to them. But I'm going to take Manly here. Saturday, Arvo, Raiders, Sharks. Bit of a rivalry game, this one. Obviously, these guys go back probably to about 2016 when Michael Ennis was a bit of Mick Ennis action, getting a bit of the Viking club there when he knocked him out down in Canberra. But yeah, look, I think this is an interesting game for the fact that both these teams are really desperate to make that 8 right now. The Raiders are just needing to keep pumping and pumping and pumping. I think they're 2 points behind where the top 8 or 4 points behind where the top 8 is. So they really need to pump home strong to keep aligned with those teams who will keep on moving and grooving, which is the Sharks, who just come off a win against the Warriors. Obviously, they didn't look necessarily great, and before that, they obviously lost to the Brisbane Broncos. So there is a few things you have to weigh in with the Sharks that obviously consistency-wise, shocking, but overall, they had that 4-game stint. However, there was also excuses for those 4 teams. The only team that I really give them massive credit for was that Titans one. That Titans didn't really have many excuses besides their defense, which is just a whole season kind of thing. But the Panthers were very, very young. All their players were in Origin, and the Panthers still nearly won that game. There was the Dragons, and that was just a shocking game. So that 4-game stint for the Sharks was great because it is a 4-game consistent stint. However, there is excuses for the other teams from my personal belief. But then we go over to the Raiders, and they're coming off a very good win against Manly. I think it was by 14 points with no White and no Papali'i. Those big plays for Manly weren't there, but in the same sense, it was a significant win there. They did really well, and they kept their season alive. The week beforehand, however, they were down at home. They lost 44-6 to a Titans team that everyone was ragging on for the fact that they're a one-half team, and they are a one-half team, except for that game. But, the Raiders are the worst second-half team in the competition, but people were still kind of expecting them to bounce back a little bit because of the fact that the Titans aren't usually the greatest in another half as well. They were good in the first half, and the people were expecting it, but the Raiders they were still pretty bad in the second half. So the Raiders will probably need to be leading this game by about 12, 14 by half time if they're going to win, because otherwise the Sharks will more than likely chase them down because for some reason the Raiders just can't hold it out. But I'm going to take this is a tough one. I'm going to take the Raiders here. I'm going to take, I don't know if it's an upset or not. I think it probably would be classed as the upset. I'm going to take the Raiders here. I don't know why. No, well, the Sharkies. I wasn't impressed by the Sharks against the Warriors, which is the issue. That's the biggest issue. I wasn't impressed by the Sharkies against the Warriors, and obviously they lost to the Broncos. I think the Warriors had a lot of opportunities. They were shocking themselves. Look, I'm going to take the Raiders. There is no home team here. Because obviously they have gone up to Queensland. I'll take the Raiders, but honestly, this could be a 4-point game, 6-point game. It really should be. It should be a close game. We all know what the NRL is like nowadays, but it should be a very, very close game. So, look, I'm excited for this one. I will take the Raiders but, the Sharks should be favourites. They definitely should be favourites. Cowboys, Roosters, the mid-afternoon game on Saturday. And I find this one relatively easy to predict in comparison to what other people are saying. However, it's got a little bit of taste to it. There's a little bit of spice to it, but not a great deal. The Cowboys and the Roosters, the Cowboys come into this game and they're not looking the greatest lately. They're not looking the greatest at all, to be completely honest with you. The Cowboys are now on a 4 or 5 game losing streak right now where they got pumped by the Rabbitohs. They made it close against the Sharkies, but they got pumped by Manly with no Trbojevic. They got pumped by the Knights the week beforehand as well. This team, they had that really good stint against teams at the bottom of the ladder. They started to get a bit more belief in themselves, which was fine, but it was also against lower end of the table teams. So then when they've started to come up against better teams like your Manlys and like your Rabbitohs and I guess like your Sharks, who are still in the 8 technically, they come a gutser. You know, even the Knights who are pushing for the 8 come a gutser. Those teams that they beat in that stint was, you know, predominantly the bottom end of the table, bottom 4, bottom 6 kind of teams. So there was massive excuses there in regards to positive outlook for the Cowboys, and now it's starting to bite them a little bit. Now, this game is massive for them because they need to win this to keep in touch with the 8. Now, there's only one win between them and the 8, but in the same sense, their 4 against is not good, and this is not a good game right now for them against the Roosters, who are copping a lot of criticism after their struggles against the Dogs. They only won by 6 points there, and obviously, you know, poor Sam Walker. I did obviously have a lot of issues with what Sam Walker did at the end of the game, but you move on after the game. You know, you say something during the game, you say, oh, that's bullshit. You know, that footy is terrible. Come on, man. Like, do better than that. But then you move on. You don't send the kid death threats. And you don't send the kid bloody bullshit. You know, you just have an opinion. You move on the next day. Like, who cares? You know, it's a bit of footy. You know, a bit of fun. You know, we love it. Roosters obviously, before that, lost 46-0 to Melbourne Storm. So there's massive critique there. But I still think the Roosters will win this one. I think the Roosters should win this one quite well, to be honest with you. I think their team is better than the Cowboys, and I'm not the greatest fan of the Cowboys going forward in regards to excitement and attack, to be honest with you, but overall they're probably going to give a better shout than I'm giving them credit for, because they are desperate to make the 8 right now, and that's what makes these games so much harder to predict at the end of the season, because of the teams outside of the 8 and just kind of the desperation of they're going to get left behind by the Sharks, Titans, Knights, blah, 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 if they don't win. So, big game for the Cowboys. Still think the Roosters win. I'll go 1-12. I actually could go... I'm going to go 13 plus the Roosters, but it depends on how the Cowboys come out to play, if they're desperate or not. I just think the Roosters are really going to be, you know, aiming for that top 4 spot, and they need to win this. Well, depending on how the Titans-Eels game goes, but still, they need to win this regardless to keep in touch or to get one spot closer. Storm Knights, Saturday. I'm sorry. I'm taking the Storm. I just think the Storm are too good, man. I think the Storm are too good. I think people are riding high on the Knights hype train. They've won a couple of games. They've won 38-0 over the Cowboys. You know, cool story. This is the Storm. Man, this is the Storm. The Knights won't fall too far away. You know, if the Sharks were to win, they'd only go 2 points above them. So it's not like they'd really fall too far away here. But the Storm, they're going toe-to-toe with the Panthers right now to finish in first. And the Storm are so clinical. They're just, it just suits them. It just does. I'm going to take them. I'm going to take them by 16 points here. I think the Storm will be too good for them. I still think that with their team that's basically been their backups this year, is better than this Knights outfit that struggles for consistency year in, year out. And even with Pearce and Ponga and all these lads around the team now, it is... it's still not really convincing for me outside of the last couple of weeks. It's still not really convincing. If they got a win here, then maybe we could start really talking about that top 8. But for the time being, I think the Storm should be going into his favourites as 13 plus favourites. On Sunday, we have the Warriors and the Panthers. Now, this is a 3-game Sunday, interestingly enough. This is a 3-game Sunday, but Warriors-Panthers is a difficult one for me because the Warriors are in 13th spot right now. If they lose this, I'm counting them out of the 8 race. I think I'd count them out because they'd just be leaving it a little bit too late, and other teams aren't going to lose enough for them to make it, especially with the polar difference between the bottom and the middle end, even so. But the Panthers are very good. They're very, very good. When they're on, they're absolutely on. And I'm really excited to see them come out every single week because their attack is just unbelievable. I just think this is the last chance of the Warriors. Look, I'm going to take the favourites in the Panthers. I will. I'll take the favourites in the Panthers, but it would not shock me if the Warriors won by a point or 2 points just because of their desperation. But I'm going to take the Panthers based on the fact that they are unbelievable. They are chasing down the Storm right now in first place. They need to keep up with them, and I believe the Storm will kill the Knights, so they'll have to then kill the Warriors here. And yeah, I think it'll be a better game than let on. I think it'll be a better game, but then again, the Warriors, they could also not turn up and they could lose by 70. You know, that's how the NRL is nowadays. If you don't turn up in the first half, you could honestly lose 66-0 like Manly beat the Bulldogs. Second last game of the round, the Brisbane Broncos going up against the West Tigers. This is the bottom of the table clash, really, which is without the Bulldogs, but, you know, the Brisbane Broncos are in 15th and the Tigers, what are they? They're in 14th. Yeah, it's literally bottom 3 play here. And I think the Broncos may jump the Tigers. No, their 4 against is pretty bad. So I think the Broncos would stay in 15th regardless, unless they won by like 16. If the Broncos win by 60, holy shit, that would be a surprise. However, I think because this is, I'm assuming this is at Suncorp. I'm assuming it is at Suncorp, yes. So I feel like the Broncos definitely are riding that wave high from their most recent kind of win against the Sharkies, and then they had to bye. But in the same sense, the Tigers do have a tad bit of quality about them that they can show from time to time. I'm actually going to go the Tigers here. I'm going to go the Tigers here, and people are going to be like, oh, you're a Titans fan, you'll be biased against Broncos. No, I'm not really. To be honest, if I thought the Broncos would win, you know, they are favourites. They are $1.60 favourites, but I'm going to back in the Tigers. I feel like they've got that little bit extra right now that we saw against a couple of teams. Like even in the Rabbitohs game when the Rabbitohs didn't give a shit, they still scored 16 points. But in the same sense, like I feel like the Tigers have a bit more excitement about them for me. Yes, the Broncos can do it. They can, but they're also a team that will show you a lot and then also provide a little in the next game. And we see that quite regularly. They're just really strange, this Broncos team. I think going next year, they'll probably rise up a little bit more. They still need to figure out a few of their core, you know, spine players. But overall, they've got the lineup there, the Broncos. But I just feel the Tigers will be able to connect with a little bit better this week. I think the Tigers will be able to match up pretty well with the Broncos. Final game of the round. Exciting. Rabbitohs, Bulldogs. Wow, what an excitement of a game, right? Jeez. Yeah, no. Rabbitohs win 13+. Bulldogs are just shocking. I'm sorry, Bulldogs fans, but you know it. Every stream, it's the same old shit. Same old shit every single week. You know, the Bulldogs, this is their time, to be fair, though. This is their time. Usually the late part of the season is when they start chugging along to get home. You know, they start getting chugging along, which they need to. Because if the Tigers are going to win this, they would only be one win behind the Broncos. And they might avoid the spoon, just like last year when old Wayne Bennett threw that game against the Dogs to give the Broncos the spoon. However, I'm taking Rabbitohs here. Just to clarify, I am taking the Rabbitohs here. It would still be a shock to me if the Bulldogs won here. They're not great. They're not great. But I would love to. I'm going to obviously support the Doggies in our stream, but they're not going to win. You know, the Rabbitohs, they're third place. They're bullies to everyone who's not got the name the Panthers or the Storm. They're a good team. Rabbitohs are very underrated, actually, compared to what a lot of people are talking about. Their defense is better. Their attack has always been very good, and especially the fact that Reynolds and Walker didn't get selected for the Origin, so they're going to be prime for this one as well. And yeah, I'm taking Rabbits. I'm taking the 13+. Hey guys, that's going to do it for today's video. I hope you have enjoyed. Obviously, smash that thumbs up button if you haven't already. Let me know that you are enjoying the content we're posting every single day now. So have that notification bell on, the ding-a-ling-a-ling notification bell on, so that you get a notification every single time we upload. Obviously, subscribe if you're new around here. We've just hit 11,000. We're on our way to 12 now. Obviously, we stream every single day. We're going to be streaming tonight for the Wallabies and France game. Tomorrow, we've got the Origin, and we're going to be streaming. Jeez, I'm looking forward to that one. I'm a Queenslander fan. I probably shouldn't be looking forward to that one. But yeah, we absolutely smash it here. So I hope you are enjoying the content. Comment below your tips for this week. I want to see what your tips are, and if you think that I'm an idiot, because I am an idiot. Sometimes I cannot be an idiot, but the majority of the time I can be idiots for my tips. I sit there sometimes and look at the NRL.com later, and like the actual top person, I'm just like, how is that even... Like, how is that even possible? Like, what are you getting perfect round every round? It's wild how some people are with tips. But I enjoy it. Have a good time. And I hope you had a good time too. Alright guys, jumping off. Appreciate it. And I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Catch you later. See you.